All right, now at the elimination chamber, the Rock is gonna come back, and someone's soul is going to get snatched from their being. Okay, not really, but really, you're gonna sign your paper in blood. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too far. I was like, he owns you. Okay, maybe that still is a stretch. You're going to go around the press and say you love the Rock. Probably a little bit more of that. Anyway, uh, yes, at Elimination Chamber, he's going to get an answer from Cody. I think the masses expect for him to tell him no. The most shocking thing, I think, if he just come down and been like, you know what, you're right, and then just handshakes, lifts up title, day's done. Yeah, that's a little bit. That'd still be an interesting story, but I was like, that way getting there too boring. Now, I've already said my various ways of how this necessarily could I would like happen. Does he join eventually? Does he don't? Do somebody else? Blah blah. So I was like, I was like, I also think that outside of a couple, I do think that the is going to come out the loser of the Royal Rumble. I think that sort of was more for certain. While we'll see, I was like, we'll see later. Obviously, if he's going to build a crew, a faction, uh, you know, have a whole, Crow's murder of people or whatever. But anyway, I was like, let's go with the ones outside the chamber, and I was like, I think it's a little bit too gone, but I wouldn't doubt it. Is Kevin Owens? I was like, Kevin Owens seems like he wouldn't do it because of how he feels about the bloodline. But I also could see that if it's like, hey, you're sort of just like at your wits end, you're just sort of done. I was like, you got nowhere left to turn. I was like, it's almost kind of like where it's like you don't like you lost everything, and you do something that you normally wouldn't do if situations were good, you was chipper or whatever like that, and you basically sell your soul. I was like, it's not like he had done something like this, and I was like before. So I was like, but I was like, it's also a long shot as well, just because of like who it is. If there was somebody else, or if this was the like somebody going against the bloodline, probably more so. I was like, I'll give it to him. I just think it just also be cool, basically just seeing Kevin Owens back on the map like that, just because like he's been good these last couple months in like that role of like I don't care anymore. So now it's like he had the backing of somebody behind him. Now I feel like people be like, oh, we might actually get a championship out of Kevin Owens. Another long shot person, and the only reason I was like, I feel like this could have happened if they would have did this right, or if he wanted to, or whatever, come back, and that's Randy Orton. I felt like if Randy Orton would have came back at a timely manner, we probably would be at the spot where we probably would have had Randy Orton and Kevin Owens by now, or that'd be what would be leading up into WrestleMania, and or well, no, it had to happen before WrestleMania, obviously. But we always got glimpses of Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. I was like, Cody Rhodes is at the thing where his friends are turning on him. At some point, I was like, not that Randy would be heel because everybody loves the song or nothing like that, but I was like, once we would get past the Kevin Owens Randy Orton part, if we got to the Cody Rhodes Randy part, I was like, if to me, I was like, if you want, I was like, well, I think there's a bigger reason for John Cena than Randy, as far as like their story. I was like, but they're not too dissimilar as far as basically like been here a long time. They want to break that record. I was like, his story is similar to Cena's story of just like if this is the way that I get back on top, even though he doesn't necessarily mean because he's Randy Orton. But I was like, also too, we have basically the Viper back. I was like, I don't think we get back uh like the baldy Randy Orton, or where he was like '09 just doing the Legend Killer thing, whatever. He can't do that type of situation. But since he's already part time, that means his RKO's out of nowhere, or really kind of out of nowhere. Uh, but I was like he'd be the guy that would be a really good antagonist to Cody Rhodes as well too. But I was like, he ain't never show back up, and I was like, you can't do no story like that. I mean, you can. Don't get me wrong. This was probably like Vince days. I was like, we probably would get this out of like literally out of nowhere. But since it's Triple H, I was like, no, this is going to be a little. This is going to be a little bit more sensible there here with this one or whatever. All right. So now we're going to get into like more realistic kind or whatever like that. Maybe I'll have a random one out of nowhere. But I was like, the one I was gonna say is Solo. I know you're thinking like Solo, the dude that's over here that's been losing, Solo that's over here about to get, you know, uh, I was like the pedal to the gas. I know that's not what Jacob Fatu said, but you get what I'm saying. I was like that Solo, the Solo that ain't got no Ulafala or whatever. I think that I was like, I don't know. I was like, so the way to me that they could do this is basically like say that night Cody says no, and then he's like, well, I figured that you were doing do that, had a contingency plan. Solo comes out with, you know, the rest of the group. They come out and they just beat on Cody Rhodes, and everybody gonna be like, boo, of course. But then you're gonna have the people be like, oh my god, it's just a bloodline. Again. And they're just beating him. And they're beating Cody up. And Cody like down or whatever. I was like, they wouldn't probably make him a bully mess, but you get what I'm saying. He basically tore a pole or whatever. And he's talking shit to Cody. And then Jacob Fatu hits Solo, and then they just start wailing and taking Solo out, and The Rock basically starts going at Solo or whatever. And the real guy is Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu is really going to be the guy that's what got The Rock's whole blessing or whatever. That could be that will be his corporate guy. I was like, now that Jacob Fatu needed because he's rising, but now it's a lot more locked in. I was like, you still build with the Solo character because I was like, Solo and Jacob Fatu got a thing going on, and now Jacob Fatu is right there, boom, basically up in the main event spot. You know, because I was like, he had to face Cody in a way that we've seen him face Cody. He doesn't get beaten like that. And you also, I was like, you take Solo out. And the thing is that you do sort of plug in some plot holes and stuff like that. Of like, why did Solo get? I was like, how did Solo get the Ulafala? Where did these band of guys come from that Solo got? And it's like you always sort of felt like they listened to him, because it felt like somebody told them to, other than just the Ulafala. And it would make sense if the whole time The Rock has been behind all of these things and Solo just dropped the ball. Solo, you just couldn't get it done no matter how many things I gave you. I gave you the head start. I gave you the shots. I was like, Roman was gone. I kept him away, and you still dropped the ball. So that's why we're going to Jacob Fatu. Easily way to do it done. Now, outside of those, I was like, let's go with the least, I think, of all of them. I think Logan Paul will be the least out of all of them. It really doesn't mesh. He seemed like somebody that The Rock would actually beat his ass to or whatever. I was like, Logan Paul's not gonna get it. The way I would like, it just doesn't work with his character. There's nothing to me. Like if he got it, it would just seem like a little bit. I think the other lead person, I'm gonna have to say, I think I was like almost in the same vein as Kevin Owens. It's Seth Rollins. I don't think that Seth Rollins will really do this. I was like, because of the same thing of his bloodline. He faced The Rock last year. The Rock tried to come in and take his spot. All this other stuff. I was like, no. I was like, he wouldn't do it, and there's not enough animosity between Cody and Seth in order to like look a blind eye to The Rock. There's no way that Seth could do this, basically bring it onto his past or anything like that. Then I'm gonna go with Damian Priest. I was like, all those people that I just sort of named, I was like I said, none of them also need it really either. I will say Jacob Fatu does to where he could just sort of skip the line. Like how Solo just skipped the line to main championship past mid-card championship. I was like, maybe I can see that for that. Damien, I was like, he's not. What does he need it? Yeah, because I think that I'm not gonna say it would make sense. I was like, but you can explain it in a way of making sense. I do think that this would jump him up where people will feel differently about Damian Priest. Because now his character has something, his motivation or whatever. He's like, y'all don't treat me like the Punks, Rollins, Reigns, and stuff like that. Y'all don't treat me like that. I'm a world heavyweight champion. Y'all love Jey Uso. Y'all yeet every time. But yet, as soon as I get away from Judgment Day, I was like, y'all just don't love me the same way anymore. I was like, I still love Rhea. What's going on with that? He can make it a whole thing where he's just having a whole crisis moment. So the best way to make sure he gets to the top, stay on top, is basically, I was like, to line himself with The Rock. Now, I was like, with this storyline, this is something where it's like Damian Priest is somebody I also feel like later on he probably get kicked out or something like that. I was like, just because, but I think it'd be good for him to have it. Do I see him having it? No. I was like, but I think that you can easily do something and his character switches just change like that. I was like, when I did the Damian Priest video not too long ago, this wasn't an option or whatever, but I did sort of say that he sort of just crash out, basically. Like, he just starts beating up people and stuff like that, and it's like not necessarily in a bad way, but I was like, but he will sort of be taken in like as a bad guy, but the whole reason doing it is because he lost everything. He doesn't have a family anymore, blah blah, life on the streets, whatever, and he just been taking it out on people. Just basically come down beating the hell out of people until he gets whatever, fulfills whatever he needs, kind of thing. But no, I was like, I think it would be cool for Priest to do that, just because I was like, I do think that. And then I was like, no, we're doing too many facts right now. I was like, hold off on that. But I wouldn't mind it as well. Then we get to John Cena, because I think everybody would enjoy it too much. He's not going to do it. He's on his last retirement tour, and they want him to be cheered and loved by the crowd. That's why he's not going to do it. So that's unfortunate. While I wish that was the case, because I do think that would be sort of cool. Instead of Rock Cena 3, this would be basically their way of like tying it up. All the stuff they went through in the past, I was like them making up. Now that the movie started, now they're aligned together at the same time of being like the mega faces of the company and basically taking things over. And I was like, it would also explains how the Cena is going to be able to be thrown in all these matches, other than just being like, hey, my last year, I'm in it. This is my last year, I'm in it. Whatever. Nah. He's just gonna get. I was like, now it's like, oh, because I got the big guy behind me that says I'm in here. That's why. I was like, no. I was like, I think that it would be cool, but I don't think so. Then we get to the last two, and the last two is obviously Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. I think it elevates the hell out of Drew. CM Punk, I was like, I think it just sort of just seems like how like it could build into a story of how desperate he is. I was like, he sees John Cena on the retirement tour. I was like, he sees The Rock as the owner. I was like, with TKO, and he's like, I used to wrestle these dudes. These dudes are already out. How much more time do I have? I got to strike while the iron's hot. What better way to do that? To line himself basically with The Rock. He said he's here to make money, not friends. Who is the best person to make money with? The Rock. Who's the best person to be everywhere with? The Rock. I was like, who's going to put you in a lot of these situations? The Rock. I was like, it could easily be that. I was like, and if we wanted to just sort of write it off, and that way it doesn't have to linger itself anymore. If you want to say that favor that Paul Heyman owes, you could say it was to get him in the room to talk to The Rock. Because I'm like, he wasn't picked by The Rock. He's also not blood. So it's like, what's the best way to get an invitation to talk to The Rock in order to be his champion? The favor. And that way we don't have this plot hole lingering around that we'll never probably figure out how to actually use or whatever. Or be like, y'all remember when that was? And it's like, and nobody's going to use that thing at Backlash. Nobody's going to use that thing that, like, I don't even know what some of the other ones are. But yeah, so I was like, that's the case for CM Punk. Which goes to, I think, the winner is Drew McIntyre. I was like, I think that he is the guy that's going to basically strike on this. And he basically going to be like, Cody, I told you. I'm like, all his friends have been saying face to face. Seth Rollins, CM Punk, even Drew have all said they'll do this face to face. So when they come out with The Rock, it's going to be face to face. But Drew is somebody that's been this close every time, and he just needs that extra. I was like, and also Drew McIntyre sort of like off the leash is a lot more compelling when he's like a lot more threatening with that. But I was like he could be a threat to Cody And I was like, I think it would sort of be cool of like, and I feel like it was lost with him of the fact that he was attacking everybody. That sort of did help Roman Reigns. OG Bloodline, everybody. Like, even though I was like, he was supposed to be doing this, get him back on track of that at the very last minute. I know I have him as my winner. He's the only one I feel like that if he could win the chamber and be does I was like Rock's soulmate. That he's the I was like, I don't want everybody else to me will have to sort of lose. But I do think Drew losing does give really big motivation of like to him of being like it's like he's just being frustrated and you just see one big ass arm grabbing his shoulder and then we'll learn later on that is the Rock obviously. But yeah, no, I was like, we'll see how this goes. I was like, look, all this could just fall flat and then nothing else happens. So, anyway, is there anybody that I missed on the outside of the chamber that you also think could be? I was like Rock's Soul Sucker Snatcher. Anyway, let me know. Till then, I'm out. Whoa.